Awesome.
Okay, you can start.
Awesome. Thank you, Kaiser. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining the call today, whether you're on the Zoom call or watching the live stream on YouTube or watching this in the future on the recorded version on YouTube. So welcome to this week's programming. My name is Bryden Veinot. I'm the program coordinator for the Vancouver Adapted Music Society. And today we're just going to talk about what we do and how we create access to music. So bring up my slideshow here. So yeah, the Vancouver Adapted Music Society, creating access to music. What we do here is kind of special, a little different than a lot of different music studios, whether traditional places that you see around the city, or even different than like music centers or music therapy sessions. We do more artist cultivation and music production in this industry, and we try and find ways to create new ways to access music for people with disabilities that may have thought it not possible anymore. So very in line with the Disability Foundation motto, we want to reimagine what's possible. So what is the Vancouver Adapted Music Society? Well, it was founded in 1988 by two tetraplegic musicians, Dave Symington and Sam Sullivan. So Dave and Sam formed the band Spinal Cord back then with John Shepp and Don Alder, two of their friends, to play bass and guitar. Dave was a drummer, Sam was a keyboard player, and they just wanted to get back into playing music after accidents which left them in a wheelchair. So I think who better to explain this than actually Dave and Sam themselves. So let's just pop over here and just listen to what they have to say about the beginning of VAMS.
Well, Dave and Sam started VAMS 25 years ago.
Sam and I met in 1985 or so, and I remember going for a ride on a Greyhound bus with him, or something like that, that had a compartment for people in wheelchairs behind the rear wheel. But we struck up a pretty quick friendship, and we had a lot of things in common, and we've both been musicians before our injuries, and began to talk about the idea of developing a society that could support and facilitate access to musical expression for people with disabilities, including ourselves.
Oh, you're gonna love this one. Oh, I took her out for dinner 'cause I thought she was a winner named Mary.
Well, that sounds good.
Before my injury, music was everything. And then become a quadriplegic, and you got all these pressures and stresses and, you know, confusion and frustration. Then you need music more than ever. And that is the time when you look at the keyboard and you know, what do I do with these?
She said she needed loving, that she'd been through several dozen. I got weary.
Then what happened?
I think what happened was we came around at the time MIDI came, and we grabbed it and maxed it out technology-wise. There was no model we had. There was no example. Quadriplegics playing music. That's wasn't really anything in anybody's vocabulary or anybody's, reality.
That's not so good.
You could tell you had four guys who just loved music, so we just kept going down the road with it, and then it led to doing live performances, and we were like the performance band of the Vancouver Adapted Music Society. Yeah, I think we were looking at a period when we were still at a threshold of people accepting others that had disabilities. I should say accepting, it's just that awkward about being around people with disabilities.
Maybe that was Brentwood Mall, as I recall.
Yeah, exactly.
People would be, we were playing, I think I remember, in front of a shoe store, and people were just window shopping. We were just another window in a way. People were just kind of like, oh yeah, moving on,
We were beside the mannequins, and we were these quadriplegics playing music. Oh well, just another
we
gimmick.
didn't
for
quite
a
know
window
what to
shop.
do with us, I think that's part of the whole purpose of what we were doing, was to get out there, and actually show people that we can play music, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be playing music.
All right. So yeah, as we can see, very humble beginnings. The society started with a band of both artists with disabilities and non-disabled musicians kind of coming together just to show that everyone has an equal opportunity to playing music and trying out new things, especially with new technology, which we'll talk about further in the presentation. So as we can see here, also, our studio is located at GF Strong Rehab Center, which is a great place where we're able to meet a lot of new people that want to get involved in music. So let's continue on. So to kind of talk about our programs here at the Society, we have kind of a three-tier system. So we'll start with our first tier, which is music lessons. This is any skill level, any disability, any age. If you are looking to start playing an instrument or kind of relearn potentially after an accident, we can find a way to play that instrument. So what we offer are guitar, bass, piano, ukulele, drums, and recording technique lessons. Those are all stuff that myself and the program assistant Noah Stolte can do. Although if you are looking for more different instruments, perhaps like wind instruments or vocals, then we can start looking for a volunteer to do online lessons as well. So these ones that we see here on the screen, these are stuff that we offer in the studio, in person, which we can actually book online on the VAMS website, which we'll kind of talk about later. So tier 1, lessons. Tier 2, now we're on to recording. So you can kind of see the flow of things. You want to learn how to make music and then start actually recording the music. So we can see here a few different opportunities that we've had over the years of recording. In the top left, we actually go to an artist's home that was on the island to do some recording there, right at his place. In the middle and top right, we have the old space here at GF Strong that we used as the studio. We're actually in a new space downstairs now, but we can see Richard there playing guitar in the middle on the guitar table, which is an adaptive guitar, which we'll talk about in a minute. There's Graham in the top right doing some recording with the guitar. And then in the bottom left, we actually have at the Warehouse Studios downtown, this is part of the Strong Sessions in 2014, when we did a big get together of local talent alongside the VAMS roster of artists, where we came together and put on a big show and recorded a whole record, which is actually available on streaming platforms, and you can check it out on our website. So the recording aspect of things, we can do anything from you have a whole song written and you just need to come in and have a space to record. You might even have artists that you bring in yourself that you want to play on the certain parts or sing. But at the same time, if you're unable to play certain instruments, that's where myself or Noah can come in and actually help produce some of the songs and do some session musician playing. Also, we have what's called the mobile studio. This allows us to go record and teach music lessons elsewhere outside of the studio. Generally, we would want to start going to centers like Sunny Hill Children's Center or Ronald McDonald House, maybe BC Children's Hospital, and trying to do more group youth programs. So if this is something that you'd be interested, please reach out to us and show your interest. So a quick question to think about before we keep moving on. So in an adaptive recording and music lesson studio, what else must be accessible besides the instruments? So when I think about this, there's a couple things. One, just the physical space, being able to get in here safely with a wheelchair, feel comfortable, not feeling cramped, feel like you have enough space. You also want things to be at, a reachable level, nothing too high, lots of table space to put your things down. But another thing would be access to the computer. So making sure that tables are high enough or adjustable for wheelchairs. Having cables hung on the wall, easily able to grab, or maybe in the drawers that are at waist height. Enough seating, of course. We want to make sure that people are comfortable and able to have enough space to sit and feel good. But another one, the big one, I think, is actually the attitude of the people that are in here. I think the fast-paced nature of the music industry sometimes can be a hindrance on feeling comfortable and being able to record properly. So when we're in the studio, we make sure that we adjust to everyone's pace. Depending on your physical ability, things might be a little bit slower, but that's okay. Everyone has their own pace that they work at, and we want to make sure that we're adjusting and making sure that we're not rushing anything, or even just understanding that sometimes things take a little bit longer. So even just, having a different attitude, different outlook on getting a certain product done, right? Or even the goals that we have. Maybe if you're doing a music lesson, there can be a lot of pressure sometimes in a more traditional music setting or music lesson setting to make sure you learn something perfectly over the course of the week, or to have actually finished being able to play something by the end of the lesson. But that's just not the case sometimes. And we totally understand that it might take a bit longer. So we adjust our goals based off of ability and making sure that everyone feels like, yes, we are accomplishing something and we continue to move forward. All we care about is that you have a passion for learning, a passion for playing, and that you want to actually continue and grow as a musician. One thing that we should just take another note of that I kind of mentioned earlier is that we actually aren't music therapy. This isn't a place to, start to try and get some of the goals, the intended outcomes of music therapy, which are kind of separate to what we think our goals are. Our goals are more cultivating musicianship and kind of destigmatizing disability in the music industry. So continuing on, our third tier, final tier, is live performance. I think one of the most important things, especially like what Dave was saying in that first video there, was actually just getting out and being seen. That's the biggest thing. Once people see that playing is a possibility for everyone, then there shouldn't be much stigma around it anymore, and realize that, when you close your eyes and you listen to the music, it's just music, right? It doesn't matter if you have a disability or not. So here we can see a few different venues that Vans has performed at over the years: Backstage Lounge, Anza Club, Fairview Pub. A place that we've gone quite a bit recently is the Roundhouse Community Center, which is where we host our Strong Sessions concerts. So the Strong Sessions concert, that is like the flagship event of VAMS. This is when we bring together our roster of artists with local talent, local bands and musicians, some very well known, and actually get together and play a full concert. So we can see here Jeff Stanfield and Dave Simonton in the top left, Shannon Jetty and Christina Sheldon there in the bottom left, Greg Levine, Cody Punnett there on the right side. And this merge again of disabled artists and non-disabled artists, just showing that there shouldn't be, these two camps. There shouldn't be, two sides to things. Everyone has the equal opportunity to play. And again, close your eyes, just listen to the music, and disability kind of ceases to exist, right? So continuing on from the strong sessions, I think now would be a good time just to check out maybe a little bit of some music from a past strong sessions performance. So this is going to be, like it says here, Richard Kwan, Jim Burns, Colin James, Sweet Home Chicago. I think this is the finale of the strong sessions. There we go, a little taste of some live music there that we do at the strong sessions, and actually an adaptive guitar there being played right on stage. So it's the perfect blend of being able to play in a non-traditional way, an adaptive way, alongside some famous kind of local band talent. So just showing the legitimacy of playing different ways and how that can actually sound in a full stage live music setting. So another question that we like to ask ourselves and try to think about too with these live performances is, when it comes to performing or going to live shows, what accessibility challenges might someone face at venues? So there's a lot of places that claim to be accessible, but what does that really mean? Maybe they just have an accessible seating area for the audience, or one accessible bathroom, right? But there's so much more to that, especially if you're a performer and a person with a disability and you're looking to perform at certain venues, there's so many that probably aren't as accessible as they claim to be. So some things that we try to think about the most are, one, of course, being able to get up onto the stage. Is there a safe way up with a ramp that isn't too steep? Also backstage, is there a comfortable place that's accessible to get back there so that you're not, having to wait out in the audience with everyone else and kind of taking away from the allure of that performance, right? You want to come out and surprise everyone. So being able to be backstage, same as everyone else. Also, of course, just like I mentioned, having accessible bathrooms, green room area, a place to be comfortable and get ready before the show. You want to have that same opportunity as non-disabled artists to be able to relax backstage and not have to worry about socializing with everyone before the performance, and you can just kind of get in that headspace. Of course, the entrance to the actual venue and being able to access it via transit. Is it close enough to a bus stop or SkyTrain? All of these things that we try to think about, right? These are just for the performer, right? And then, of course, we want to think of the audience as well, making sure that there's a nice integration of accessible seating areas as well as spaces for non-disabled people. So being able to come together and be able to sit together, right? We don't want to have to separate everything, which is kind of the big theme of the Strong Sessions, is that we come together, disability or not, and just play some awesome live music. So if you're interested, you can get a copy of this PowerPoint if you email the contact info that's going to be at the end if you want to take that down. But here's some links that you can go to check out some of the performances that we've done in the past, as well as the YouTube channel that will have a lot of the music or podcasts or everything that we do up on there. So very similar to the Strong Sessions, we wanted to pivot during the pandemic to do some virtual concerts, which kind of became its own program and still runs to this day. And this opportunity kind of gives an intro to live performance. Sometimes getting up on stage in front of hundreds of people can be a little daunting if it's your first time. So getting a few reps under your belt is great, and no better way to do that than virtually, where there's no audience in front of you. You can just play to a camera. And then we get the audio recorded and filmed, and we're able to put this on our YouTube channel. So we've done quite a handful of virtual concerts over the past few years, and I think, again, let's maybe just take a quick look at one of the ones that I was first part of when I first started with the Vancouver Adapted Music Society back in 2021. So this was going to be Mark Ash, a long-time client of ours, playing with a band that we put together of VAMS musicians and his friend Mia, who's a singer. A bit of an idea there of the virtual concert, and we can see a bit of a spread here of VAMS artists through the years. We have Mark Ash there on the left playing bass and keyboard, Graham Wyman, current program manager of VAMS, playing guitar, Dave Symington on the Roland octopads, doing the drums, Rachel Ransom doing some backup vocals, and then yeah, Mia, Mark's friend, up front. So again, a cool merge of different talents coming together to put on a full, almost half-hour set. So if you want to hear more of that, check out the YouTube channel. And I think, yeah, this one's actually on the Disability Foundation channel. So there's lots of content between this one and the Reimagine Radio VAMS YouTube channel. So continuing on, yeah, a couple more links here that you can navigate through if you're interested in checking them out. Definitely some eclectic performances, whether it's hip hop or instrumental medleys, rock and R&B, blues. There's even folk and country. There's a lot out there to check out. So I guess that's a good plug too, then, to move on to kind of some of the other stuff that we put on our YouTube channel. We've started some podcasts, again, pivot from the pandemic, trying to find new ways to reach out to our community. So this started with some artist feature podcasts where we brought on some VAMS artists, talked about their music, talked about upcoming projects, maybe some past experiences in the music industry, navigating the industry with a disability. So we started with those artist feature podcasts, and then we kind of evolved into a more broad topics and things outside of music with the Discover Stories podcast, where we talk about disability in a range of topics, not just music, right? So it could be people with disabilities, care workers, organizations, anyone that has kind of a unique perspective on the community that we all live and work in, right? So some very awesome conversations. I think we're over 60 episodes now and continuing to make them. So some awesome content on there to check out, kind of learn more about the community. And here we have just a couple links here. The first artist feature that was with Sam and Dave, the founders, just talking more about spinal cord and those early days of VAMS and some of the music that they were making. And then as well, the first episode of Discover Stories with the Disability Foundation's own Eric Molendijk. So talking about his upbringing, coming from Prince George in a wheelchair with cerebral palsy, and then continuing on life and moving to Vancouver, going to BCIT, ending up at the Disability Foundation, and really making the most out of that opportunity and getting a lot of people to access new recreational activities in the Lower Mainland with BC Moss and ASABC, some of those classic societies that we know from the Disability Foundation. So kind of going back to VAMS, talking a little more about access and getting to be able to play instruments again. We're going to focus a bit more on the instrument side of things now. One is instruments are definitely expensive, something that we know. We have a lot of instruments here, and fortunately we have some great funding from the city that allows us to buy new instruments and adapt them, make them more accessible for everyone to be able to play. But also, there's a lot of people in the community that have been donating some old instruments that they have to the society so that we're able to actually lend them out to our clients free of charge, so that we don't have to have a client have to figure out their own instrument and have to rent or buy it themselves. Because we understand that, yeah, guitars, pianos, drums, super expensive to buy. And we have so many here, so it's almost a no-brainer to be able to loan them out. As long as you're part of the program, you can have one of the instruments for free. We just want to make sure that we're supporting your passion for music and that you have the opportunity to practice on those days off outside of the studio. So with those instruments that we get donated, we trying to think about different ways to adapt them, right? But sometimes a disability can make it so that you actually aren't able to physically play an instrument, depending on your motor skills, fine motor skills, or just range of motion. Obviously, we want to try our best to make sure that things are playable, but sometimes we have to find a different way to be able to access music. So here's a couple clients that we've had in the past that we've had some great success with being able to make music in a more unconventional way. So we want to talk about the recording side, songwriting side of things. So client A, they had Rett syndrome and were nonverbal and had very limited motor skills and arm function. Can do some grip strength, but not a ton, right? So the way that they were able to communicate was actually with the tablet eye tracking system, where you can kind of see there in the bottom right there, they use something called a Toby, and there's a bunch of, it's a grid of photos that go to different pages that have different discussion topics and ideas. And what we had was a whole music page that had instruments, feelings, genres, dynamics like fast, slow, choppy, smooth, feelings like happy, sad, melancholy, angry, fun, and then all of the different instruments that we could ever think of. So although we don't have every single instrument you can think of in the studio, luckily with technology now, a lot of instruments we can actually replicate inside of the computer. So whatever this client was trying to think, they could communicate through this eye tracking software, which would then communicate to me how I need to produce the song. So we were able to kind of work together, take their ideas and interpret them into some music, and all in real time, they could see that the idea that they had in their head was being created right in front of them. This client, though, did want to be able to play a little bit of something. So one of their favorite things to do is play things like hand percussion. So whether it's tambourine, shaker, maraca, whatever it is, we wanted to make sure that they had some recording on these songs. So the problem, though, with some of these hand percussions is that the handle is too small, or the way you have to grip it is awkward. So we found different ways to adapt these things to make them easier to grab. So for example, like maracas, like you can see here on the top right in that photo, the handle is quite thin. But what we could do is cut off a piece of a pool noodle that has the hole in the middle, slide it right on, and then it creates a larger handle to be able to hold, and a lot softer too. So you're able to grip it harder and then be able to shake it and play just like everyone else. Also, there's like the tambourine, big circular thing with the little cymbals around the outside. So this one had a flat kind of drum-like cover on it. And what we could do was have her put her hand flat onto the tambourine and then have an elastic go around so that she could actually just freely hold it without having to grip it whatsoever, and could just shake the tambourine and be able to play. So that was one of the clients that I worked with. There was a past client that Graham used to work with that was also nonverbal and physically wasn't able to play anything, but their mother was a musician, so a really great violinist. So this client and their mother would come in, and very similar to that Toby technology I was talking about, they used what's called a Grid 3 technology, that sight-to-text or sight-to-speech really tablet. And they were able to create awesome soundscape music, which really was an expression of how he was feeling. And he was able to communicate to his mom how to play the violin over these soundscapes and these different songs that they created. So again, a very cool way of bringing together even a family to be able to make music together at the VAM studio. So that's some adaptive music production. That's, for these very special cases where it seems like we're not actually able to make music anymore. We really are, right? We'll try and find a way. But now to shift gears to go to adaptive instruments, this is where we really kind of have to shift our mind on what is the right way to play an instrument. And the answer to that is that there is no right way to play. There's just different ways, right? And the best of this would be our founder, Dave Symington, who figured out how to play drums again after an accident. So as you saw there, Dave playing in those videos on the octapads there. So Dave Simonton wanted to continue playing drums. This is after a diving accident. He tried acoustic drums on either side of the chair, but you're missing out, right? If you only have 1 or 2 drums on each side, you're still missing out on quite a few drums. And it's awkward to be able to reach them, and they're big and bulky and hard to move around. And then on top of that, his limited grip strength then made it hard to grip the sticks. So then he was also duct taping these drumsticks to his hand, which I can't imagine was good for his hands. He probably ripped all the hair off of the back of his hands at some point, and it just wasn't a good idea. But it was something. It was a start to playing again. So when VAMS was started, Dave and Sam contacted Roland Canada. This is a music company that started in Japan and is now a worldwide company with tons of cool instruments. And what was great about the late 80s, like Sam said in that video, that was the start of what's called MIDI. And MIDI is a way to trigger sounds, whether it's on a keyboard or drum pads, whatever it is, it's a digital instrument. It's no longer an analog instrument that creates sound straight from the source. It's now going into a computer and triggering a sound in a computer. So Roland was able to supply Dave with 2 of these octapads, which are just regular drum pads that any drummer might use. And what they were able to do was figure out how to make each pad a different drum. Sometimes some of the pads could be triggering multiple sounds. Even depending on how hard you hit it, it would trigger a different sound. And Dave was able to then have 2 octapads, meaning 16 total pads, and he could play full drum kits again, right beside his chair. And again, that whole idea around it, if you just close your eyes and you listen, his amazing meter, his amazing technique really made it sound like he was just playing regular acoustic drums again. So the octapads replaced these acoustic drums. They triggered 16 individual sounds and more. So that kind of figured out how we could play drums again. And then for the sticks, he wanted a better way than just duct tape. So he needed gloves to hold these sticks. So he worked with an occupational therapist to design these gloves here at GF Strong. And he took these hatch gloves, kind of like wheelchair gloves that you use to keep the strain on your hands. He was able to get these fingerless gloves with a Velcro loop right in the middle in the palm that he could slide the drumstick into and fasten. And then he could have a loose grip on the sticks without having to worry about them falling out of his hands. So kind of a long journey to be able to play drums again. But as soon as he did, that was it. And he was able to play for years and years, just as well as he would have on an acoustic kit. So continuing on with some more adaptive instruments, these are a couple things that we saw in the video there of the guitar table. The one that we saw in the video that Richard was playing was actually custom fit to his chair so that he was able to actually attach it straight onto his chair. But there's also the standalone one that we have here at the studio. So the guitar table, it's holding up the guitar. And if you're not able to hold the guitar in a traditional way, depending on maybe lack of strength, or it's just too awkward, and you're not able to hold up your arms the whole time, this actually lets the guitar lay flat and you play it overhand, kind of like Jeff Healey, if you've ever seen Jeff Healey play a guitar. And he could have played just any way he wanted to, but that was just the way that he wanted to play. And it just shows again that there's more than one legitimate way to play the guitar proficiently. So the guitar table raises and lowers to adjust to any wheelchair height, as well as the mount for the neck can raise and lower and move back and forth to accommodate whether you're right-handed or left-handed, or if it's an acoustic guitar and an electric guitar. It's a totally custom fit, adjustable. Any guitar can fit on there. Even bass guitars can fit on there. So another thing that we noticed too is with piano stands. A lot of piano stands are that classic X shape where they just kind of fold out. But if you put a piano on that and you're in a wheelchair, you're actually not able to get your legs under the piano, and you'd have to be reaching way too far, and it might not be the best way to play piano. So instead, we were able to work with Tetra Society, who also designed the guitar table, to make a adaptive piano stand, which is actually on hydraulics. And again, it can raise and lower to accommodate wheelchair height. It can tilt back and forth to accommodate how reclined you might be in your chair based on your pressure relief. And then it's also on wheels and can lock, so we can really move it around the studio to be comfortable. But the main thing is that it's the table design, so that there's no X in the middle. It's totally wide open underneath, so you're not worrying about hitting the footrest or the pedals of your wheelchair on the stand and knocking the piano over. But again, this type of stand isn't just for someone in a wheelchair. This accommodates everyone who plays the piano. So trying to create new ways to adapt instruments that work for everyone, not just special cases of certain disabilities. These things can be beneficial to everyone, disabled or not. So like I mentioned, just want to give a shout out to Tetra Society of North America. They help design all of these adaptive instruments. We even have guitar strummers for someone who's had a stroke and needs to play guitar again, but they can't strum anymore. We've actually found a way to attach a pedal that you can use with your left foot to be able to strum the guitar. As you press down, a pick goes across the strings. If you let go, it comes back up. So you're actually able to offload everything to one side of your body. And Tetra Society is made up of loads of volunteer engineers and makers, designers, all across Canada. And it was started in 1987, around the same time VAMS was started by Sam Sullivan. And it was finding solutions for non-commercial products. So there might be certain things in your day-to-day life that you find a barrier for, depending on your disability. And because it might be a more specific issue that's more related to you, or maybe there's not a commercially ready product out there for you to be able to overcome this barrier. So that's where Tetra can step in, and you can reach out to them, and they can help you design a device, assistive device that allows you to get over that barrier, help you do the thing that you wanted to do again. And these devices are made free, up to $500. So these engineers and these makers are quite talented at being quite frugal and figuring out how to, stretch the dollar to make the best device possible, so that you don't have to actually put any money down and you get to be able to access those things again. So again, once Sam's needs were met with Tetra Society, shifted to recreation, which is when VAM started. So one more question to think about. Think of any musical instrument, right? And we're trying to start thinking about accessibility and adaptability of an instrument. What are the physical requirements to play that instrument? What might someone not, or why might someone not be able to play it? And how could it be adapted to be playable? So I'll just take an example here of maybe the trombone. I know it's a lesser played instrument, but I think it has some cool ideas as to how we could adapt it, right? So what are the physical requirements to play it? Well, to play it, quote, traditionally, you need one hand to hold it still. You need one hand to slide the hand slide back and forth. And then you need to be able to blow into it with your mouth, right? So, I mean, at its core, that's pretty much the three things that you need to be able to play trombone. Why might someone not be able to play it? Well, just for the sake of this example, let's say someone doesn't have the ability to use one of their hands or one of their arms, whether it's from a stroke, perhaps an amputation. There's many reasons that someone might not be able to use an arm, right? Well, if you're losing out on one arm, then you'd have to assume that that's the arm that's holding the instrument in place, because you're still going to need the other to use the hand slide, right? So what would be the simplest solution to adapt it to be playable? Figuring out a custom stand that's fit to your size, that's comfortable, something that can be right at mouth height, and it's sturdy so that when you're sliding the hand slide, it's not wobbling all over the place. And this is, again, something that you'd work with the Tetris Society engineer with to design and be comfortable for yourself to be able to play. So even something different like a trombone can be adapted. You just have to think kind of outside the box as to how you can play it again. So I just want to play a quick short video, quick client testimonial. This is Sylvia McCormick, just talking about VAMS and kind of what it's done for her.
I was going to become a music teacher, and my disability got to the point where I couldn't do that. But by discovering the soundscape and electroacoustic, my music's gone all over the world, and VAMS allows me to continue the journey of being a musician composer. It is a supportive environment for people with disabilities to continue to express themselves, whether it's becoming part of a band or joining the choir. Just so many ways VAMS is so supportive.
Pause that there. So yeah, just showing the different ways that people can access the society and use it to better themselves as a musician. So that's about it for my presentation today. Hopefully I went over everything that we do here at the Society. If you do have any questions, please contact us at one of these email addresses or by phone. If you're just have some general inquiries, please email the info@vams.org. That's just info@vams.org. But you can also give us a call at 604-688-6464. That will go to the Disability Foundation head office, and you'll be put through to our phone, where you can either leave a message or we might be available to take your call. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Everyone who's here on the call or on the YouTube stream or in the future watching the recorded version, thank you so much. And yeah, I hope to maybe see some of you here at the studio trying out music again. And I'll stop sharing there. Yeah. Thank you very much, Asia. And yeah.
Hi, Bryden. Hi, that was, thank you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, hi. I want, see, when I have difficulty speaking, my music speaks. And thank you so much for opening my, oh, I don't know the thing, but thank you for, you know, I've used my, let's see now, I don't know where else to create and invent my music, and I cannot do it without your extraordinary talent, guitarist and drumming, and also with Noah's piano playing. So I know you're not a music therapist, but I don't know if music therapists can do what I've enjoyed doing, even though it's very sort of inwardly difficult for me reliving, the dark past. But I just have to close the door on that one, and I wanted to just make music out of the new lyrics that I have, Bryden.
Yeah,
And
no, I totally
so
understand.
I
And
don't
yeah,
know
there's
if
differences in what we do for sure from music therapy, but
yeah.
I
But
don't know
besides that, what about ukulele? Because when I play guitar, my
yeah.
left fingers curls. You
Mhm.
see. So and I would like I just ask if you can on the piano, like, teach me some of the chords, for example.
Mhm.
on so I can, put some piano chords on the songs that I have. But I don't know, just adaptive instruments. Sorry, I have a
Sure.
cold, that's why I
That's all
sound
right.
a
Yeah.
little
So
lower. And you
uh,
said everybody has an equal opportunity.
maybe
I
this is
do.
something that we can
Yeah, just let you
maybe this
talk.
is not the platform right now on the live stream or the recording to be talking about this. So, and I think,
Yeah.
yeah, you've had some meetings and some conversations with Graham and David around some things. So maybe we can just table this for another time to chat about, just out of the respect for Kaiser's time and making sure that we're not taking up Connection's time talking about individual.
I would like to have a chance to discuss, as you're saying. I just don't have that opportunity. So I think that would be,
Yeah.
that would
I
be
think
nice
I
to
think there
be,
was some clarity that was brought to you from Graham and David in a meeting that you had. So if you need to follow up, maybe reach out to David Fong
yeah.
about things, right? Because I think